Okay, so like the flavor between system right now is like Sangam right now rushing towards like the person who plays like the refugee and basically right now being pulled over by like the police right now. Like I'm like even though right now Sangam is basically being pulled over and so the thing like that 20% like taking a lot of time in like Sangam is like the scenario that I'm looking at. So I don't be extremely hesitant and I'm looking at that hesitation of like Sangam causing Sangyon to maybe most like act towards that policeman in like kind of like improper and movement of the feeling of the person or like an opinion that the person feeling as like Sangyon is like behaving in maybe suspicious and movement along the line. So like that sort of thing in like in Sangyon being even more delayed to basically get to that location where like the person who will be playing like who's playing like the target is and I'm looking like that person to like still patiently stay there and patiently wait and he will be like he will be definitely waiting for like Sangyon to like show up into this like the scenario that I'm looking that person who plays the target right now he would be like well fully aware of like those two doctors hired by Sanjay like basically training him and everything and sitting this, right close to him and all that. Like he will be well fully aware and that in the total reason for like him not giving like the press and like the to let not asking them to like fix between like the program and all this definitely it wouldn't just be because of like them not looking them not being like homeless people but like it is specifically because of like that person place that giving my lovely aware that they are like spice of like Sanjo. So definitely I'm expecting to like patiently wait and once like Sanjo will finally negate there like ambassador at that point ambassador like talking to like Sanjay would only think that finally he has found that person basically. At that point I was suffering like Sanjay like rushing towards him and basically maybe catching him by the collar. And basically like at that point I was suffering like that person like basically slapping away Sanjay's arms and basically telling Sanjay like the like the bread as well right beside him and like him at that point like telling Sanjay through that example of birth and lottery, like opposite at that when his colleague Sangyon that really Sangyon was someone who had won like that a lottery and he that only like hinting at like basically Sangyon winning like the Squid Games, that's when he won the Squid Games. It's definitely my favorite. Yet like I was thinking at that point telling Sangyon that like yet like Sangyon had made the already Sangyon had made the wrong decision, the wrong choice and basically have uh, destroyed it, just like all the press on the floor would be along the lines of the Turan thing telling Sanjay. So like at that point, like Sanjay would be feeling something suspicious or awkward, and Sanjay quickly checking like his like bank balance through his like phone, and like his bank balance like at that point would be like empty, like zero. It's definitely the scenario that I'm looking at. So like at that point, Sanjay would be totally shocked. And I'm also thinking like at that point for like that person like pulling out the like strategy at that point is like the scenario that I'm doing. And like straight away I'm looking like Sanjon because Cindy embraced the thing that like Sanjon would be only uh like would be like basically playing that strategy with him at that point is like the scenario that I'm doing. Yet like I'm looking like and like while they would be playing the strategy like I'm looking Sanjon and him in public like playing that strategy in front of all of the people as well as like the people hired by Sanjon's like scenario that I'm or like I'm doing like when Sanjon would be like checking his phone and like seeing his shockingly finding his like bank balance as zero like at that point his members of those two men hired by Sanjon like straight away leaving. It's like also like the public that I'm doing. Anyway, definitely I was doing like in front of like in the public in front of all those homeless people that I was doing. That was when Sanjon would be once again playing the RPG. And I was like and the Flight of impressions of like at that point that in that whole strategy game between like Sanjon and that person like I'm especially so like Sanjon like once again used to that person as like the scenario where I was in. But like I was kind it would be kind of different where like I was like Sanjon usually in that strategy game would be taking the lead. But like and Sanjon would only think that he would be able to win that strategy again that's that person. Because like Sanjon would be so extremely embraced with that person that like Sanjon would be like to like slap and might be like the mindset of like Sanjon. So like I'm Sanjon usually getting like a major lead in that game, but like I'm like usually as the game is about to be over, like I'm like the like that just happening and I was like eventually that person like making him come back in that RPG game and like Sanjon losing to him in, like that RPG game, like the scenario that I was looking. And at that point I was playing that person smiling at Sanjon and giving Sanjon that the next good game card which will be important at 2024 Squid Game. and as well as like him giving Sangyeon either a single lottery. But the problem most likely along with like the card like I'm him mocking Sangyeon by giving Sangyeon a single lottery as well, and him leaving just like that is like the scenario that I'm going to for it. And at that point, like I'm also saying, Sangyeon would be like so extremely in like an disturbed and shocked situation, and he was like Sangyeon at that point having absolutely no money, like basically Sangyeon like losing would be like the main thing Sangyeon have to like catch that person like would have left by then, especially the bit. So like him, just like that person who plays so that really like him like straight away walking away, like while right in front of Sangyeon's like the scenario, smiling while in front of like Sangyeon's like the scenario that another thing. But and Sangyeon totally feeling absolutely destroyed, but like him having like zero bank balance and like him once again like would be like that trauma of like the even seeing like the Squid Game card like really once again like Sangyeon would be feeling as like he's back to like square one, but like even the maybe along the range maybe like Sangyeon will be feeling while holding and staring on to like the Squid Game card for like the 2024 Squid Game, it's like the scenario that ends. So like my birthday prediction, so I like this to be how like eventually Sanjon will be entering in like the 2024 sequence, like the scenario that I was in. But like this time in like the 2024 game, like Sanjon will be totally entering in a precise plan of the Sanjon will be totally planning a lot, and Sanjon was definitely to be entering to like the 2024 game. But like at that point, Sanjon won't even be caring at all, especially with, like Sanjon having lost it's like mother and they believe on your doctors in America like I'm looking like Chandio maybe like of being of like the mindset of like basically even with like the Rob and Ben like Chandio like not even thinking about like survival but like Chandio like entering like the deciding to like enter like the game with that absolute intent to like really destroy like this game from it's definitely not a dream version. So like I was looking with that intent and fixed mind, Sangyeon I was looking before entering like the 2024 good game like I was looking like Sangyeon like meeting like calling and meeting up with like John Focus like the scenario that I was looking. And like I was looking like by then like John Ho as well would have gotten his like mobile phone, but like I was like John Ho by the time he would be getting his like mobile phone that from like while driving like still like the mobile phone would be like with all these years passing like that mobile phone would be like absolutely damaged without like the data not all being available for like John Ho. So like at that point like John Ho would be like extremely disappointed and feeling as if like basically there's no hope, but like I'm positive that will when like Jumbo would be like feeling like the call of like Sanyon saying that basically Sanyon is like entering into like the 2024 game along the lines. And I'm from Sanyon like them meeting up and Sanyon showing his steps the 2024 game card and everything. And they different like definitely like step Sangyeon and Jumbo like totally strategizing, both of them having that common goal to like basically destroy like the 2024 game as in an absolute permanent end to like the 2024 game. But like the only difference would be like Jumbo would be also having this like ultimate goal to like find and save in hope. It's definitely my preference. So like so sad like then started strategizing and I was like Sangyeon once again like literally entering into like that fan and I was like Sangyeon like heading to and like I'm looking like this time and I'm considering maybe for like this time as like Junpo would be like this time as well maybe like steadily following that plan and they different like this time maybe like about different like them spotting like Junpo steadily following their plan so like I'm different like maybe like and I'm wondering maybe like this time like they will be even more prepared, especially because of like the front man. I think like having like spoken to like Sangyeon through like the phone like basically even way back and basically him realizing the intent of like Sangyeon to like basically to like that like Sangyeon really wanting to like and like Sangyeon not even boarding like the plane and basically Sangyeon back then like even deciding to like going and hiring all these people to like capture like, the people behind like the studio and everything. So like I'm luckily who would actually be in charge of like the after like announced that like the still info that would be like right now would be like after like announced that will be in charge of like running the studio and everything. So info would be like for like speaking to like Sangyeon like back then like it might have been info that it might have worked with like Sangyeon. When Sangyeon told him that basically he's not a horseman, they would think basically. So like info would be like only expecting like Sangyeon would be attempting to like basically uh, something like that. So like I was looking like to stop don't spoil experience or something. And so like I was like actually this time like I was looking at Sangyeon would be like taken through like taken into like the game man like at that point they will get only expecting like Sanjay like attempting something so like and those, like definitely while Jump will be like following that man and this time like the person driving like the Indian man would be like not maybe like or like there would be others who like basically other people working in like the Indian like uh that would be like a kind of like the task to like fight that Squid man. If like anyone's like spying on that Squid man or following that Squid man, it's like according to like Sanjong's plan or it's like Sanjong it's like attempting something like that and everything. So like they would be like most likely know the thing. Like John Ho's like car like steadily trying to like follow like that van in this like Sanjong will be taken into and like so like I'm looking like them like showing up in another van and basically blocking the way of like creating like a block or something, which would be stopping like junk books following stealthy following of the van in which like Sanjay will be taken to and like this time like Janko on the bringing right now this time Janko won't be able to like make it in time to like the port and won't be able to like integrate into like the ship. So like this time I'm bringing like Sanjon and Janko's they need to like only have a strategy, but like that strategy is only background in the like Sanjon already himself like basically being taken to like the Sudian Island. For example, certain won't be like the very same Sudian Island, like the scenario that I'm moving like Illam would be like might have been such an extremely wealthy person that like he might actually have like multiple islands with like Sudian buildings created built up on so it should be like a mechanical Sudian building as well that would in which like the walls would be able to foldable and basically automatically foldable like using a remote and basically the entire Sudian building like in that island would be able to would be lowerable and basically could be like even raised to be raised to like the surface level as well. So like that way like the Squid Game building itself on these multiple islands would be having like functionality of like basically being able to go underground. The entire building would be able to like go underground and live there remain hidden. While only like we brought up to like the surface only while the studios would be taking it. It will be such a scenario you may would say. So like in like the 2024 Squid like Sangyong will be taking not to like the very same Squid Island in which like Sangyong have participated in like the 2020 Squid but like I'm looking it to be in like a different island. Which like sort of being revealed that there are so many islands close by in that area like I'm looking at uh, that certainly it will be one among those many different islands which is not like the same island as like the Philippines, so it's Indian island like other than like different islands are on being taken to and like info not being able to like make it in time to let the pop and then like info and like jump for not being able to like make it in time to let the pop and then like jump for staff next staff would be to like basically find like Studium Island where like the 2024 Studium will be taking place in to find that island and then to like infiltrate into like that Studium buildings and to like basically that way destroy and put an end to that Squid would be like along and like it would be that this time out of the like it would be Jumbo would be like even more prepared especially when it comes to the device of like the phones and everything so and even the internet connection and everything Jumbo would be ensuring that we take a SIM that has like a high signal and everything is definitely one of the damage. So like that way Jumbo would be totally prepared. So like and the first start would be to like find the Instagram and then to like infiltrate into like that studio building inside the studio island and take the photo of the things happening within that studio building and basically for him to be able to like send it to this police chief and that way like prove to him that actually that Jumbo wasn't lying about all this so that like Jumbo would be getting all that backup help from like the remaining police force so that like collectively Jumbo would be able to like bring down at the time and to like the civilians that would taking place in that region. So this would be like along the task ahead for like Jumbo at that point and this would be what Jumbo would be attempting most definitely when and able to bring like Jumbo eventually succeeding in even though it will be taking a while like still able to bring before like the 2024 Squid Game will be over on the Jumbo finding like the Squid Game Island in the in which like the 2024 game will be taking place and like Jumbo even succeeding in like infiltrating uh, and it's like taking the scenario that I'm looking over the and with the rain. So like the minimum with rain percent right now was like being John for that basically being one of like the policemen that have right now told that Sanjay to like kill over but like John for right now not realizing that like it's like Sanjay was in that car like and the current right now the current two possibilities. One possibility is for like Janto like basically with like right now Janto telling like the other policemen to like take care of it like I'm doing Janto right now and like getting onto the car and basically driving back while like I'm looking like that policeman like I'm looking like station might be like nearby or something like so like I'm looking like Janto getting on to like police car and trying away while and maybe on the supervision would be after like Janto would be trying away that basically that Sanjon would be getting out of the car it's like that way, like Jumbo totally missing Sanjay and such in such a critical situation. With like the whole person who plays the tragedy and everything right now. And was like the one possible scenario that I was and the second possible scenario especially for like right now was like Janko only having decided to like possibly Janko right now only having decided to like basically send the other policemen to like basically take care of like the whole interaction and basically with like Sanjay and everything while with like the person in like the car in the front that got pulled over and everything while like Janko only like deciding to like stay in that police car and wait until like the other policeman is like converted. So like if that the scenario then happens at the moment Sanjay will be stepping out of the car like this, jump out the straightaway, noticing, seeing Sanjon and straightaway jump out, be like running towards like Sanjon. So like straightaway Sanjon telling jump out about like the situation and so like I was jump straightaway getting into like Sanjon's car and with Sanjon I jump out like basically breaking all like the rules, traffic rules and everything and basically or like another thing it would be Janko himself that would be like driving the car, telling Sanjon to like sit move aside and like, basically like Janko taking on the wheels of like Sanjam's car and basically Janko himself like being like Janko like being the traffic police himself like breaking all the rules and basically with like the top speed like him making it to that location where like the person playing the strategy was and basically they are like about like by the time like him Janko and Sanjo will be making they are like about like the scenario then I'm like if by the time they will be making they are like the person playing the strategy won't be like present there it's like the scenario that I'm about so like I'm about the scenario to be like by the time they will be making it there like I'm here like all the homeless people there like would be like totally in like a shop and maybe like surprise and shop like man of the man basically like Sangyon and Jeonhwan that point they are like slowly seeing like the two men that Sangyon had hired like basically to like spy on the person playing the Nagati like them badly like injured and lying on the floor. It's like the scenario that I was on like Sangyon like actually like going up to them and asking them like what has happened and basically like those are thinking like maybe like them unconscious and lying on the floor or like then being too badly injured to even speak. So like at that point like Sangyon thought we noticing like the Korean car like basically on the pocket like standing out from one of like the pocket of like one of those two people which like the scenario that I was in. So like Sangyon quickly picking up like the Korean car and I was looking to be like even a small note as well on that Korean car maybe saying along the lines as if like uh, as of like basically written on it would be like that basically you pick like the that Sanjon picked like the wrong choice that Sanjon has made the wrong choice and there's like confidence and basically along such line it being written on that good game card but like at that point like I was like maybe at that point itself like Sanjon would be like basically checking like his like balance in like bank balance through his like phone and shortly finding out like the like absolute zero balance in like Sangyeon's account. So like at that point like basically that way like Sangyeon as well as like Jungkook seeing like through that Squid Game card like basically them like straight away strategizing and planning on how to like basically make their next uh, how to like basically stop like and the point of finance to like this Squid Game through like Sangyeon as well as like Jungkook's like infiltration into like the 2024 Squid Game. Like Jungkook was like telling Sangyeon that maybe Sangyeon has to like enter into like the 2024 Squid Game as like a player and Jungkook will be like secretly following Sangyeon exactly like in the 2024 Squid Game and will be like secretly infiltrating and ensuring to like get evidence as quickly as possible and basically after like the very first Squid game itself and basically that way through like through the pictures like that like Jumbo, they will be able to like basically get through that evidence like Jumbo will be able to get all of the like remaining poses to like basically show that Squid Game Island to that Squid Game I am building and they'll be able to like stop like Squid Game for once and for good. And basically along the lines like I'm of the like a strategical plan like basically between being created between that Jumbo and Sam Jones like being the scenario that I'm also going to Oh, so like definitely my brain person right now for like you're not allowing the client to like finish the select sentence and basically trying on a chona on for the ticket. Like I'm because like the policeman definitely could like him feeling like awkward like I'm like definitely once like the awkwardness in that policeman's face like I'm definitely once he gets back to like the police car like at that point like definitely like John Howard only noticing that awkwardness in his face and at that point, I was like that's policeman. The thing would be like a new recruit, definitely when friend. So the force is definitely when friend. So like him totally at that point would be like telling like Jumbo that basically that this guy is basically like throw off as soon as like he got like the ticket. He didn't even let me let that policeman like finish the sentence like along the lines like I was thinking telling Jumbo at that point. And at that point, like Jumbo would be totally feeling something suspicious in that extreme hurry of that person, like that throw, just like that. Would be along the lines like Jumbo at that point would be feeling. So like at that point, I was thinking Jumbo taking the decision to like basically follow up that car, that throw off, and basically trying to like find that car. So like I'm thinking the car number would be definitely would be that new recruit policeman would be knowing like the car number. So like I'm thinking that maybe that Jumbo and that policeman like deciding to like right then like that searching through that area trying to like find that this car number at that of like which like Sandro was trying was like the scenario that I was bringing and then eventually spotting that car number of like car of like Sandro it's like the scenario that I was doing and then like basically that Junko basically eventually ending up in chasing after like basically hot pursuit like chasing after like Sandro's car it's like the scenario that I'm looking at. Sanction will be like once again breaking the traffic rules and basically would be like speeding and trying to like get to that car of like where car of that like in which like that basically lucky player is like traveling and struggling on the primary. So like I'm looking like the lucky player in this taxi car like in this like taxi car and basically like him being followed by like those two men hair by Sanction and like I'm looking like uh behind them would be like Sangyon that would be like stealing and trying to like catch up to that is the player star while behind Sangyon like it would be that jump off without realizing it's Sangyon like jump off that for stealing and basically trying to like catch up to like Sangyon stealing stuff. It's like in the scenario that I'm looking at and my impression right now. Okay, so like the premium brain chip right now has got like the person like the packaging like basically it's very working and getting away as like the two some people have like example to the cats in like basically around again the gym like I was looking at the I'm looking at right now for like by the time like they will be like those two men will be like done arguing and to be like looking back towards like where like the person like the packaging was walking away like I was like he won't be there at that point. Like he would have gotten away by then. So like I'm at that point, like them both like totally feeling up that they have lost their golden chance and they believe that they will be running towards that. But like they are like I'm them only finding like a Squid Game card like lying on the floor, like the scenario that I'm necessary. And that definitely obviously meant for like Sanjon never was a so like once like Sanjon will be making it there, like I'm looking Sanjon will be like fuming and will be furious with like those two people hired whom Sanjon hired and like at that point like Sanjon like then giving Sanjon just like green card and then was like uh, at that point like I was like Sanjon like totally straight away calling like, the number like which became that and I was like in that whole interaction that whole phone call like the like the whole dialogue about like the whole the person on the other hand I was looking like other end I was looking most likely would be like in coach like me like telling would be also telling Sanjon about like basically Sanjon having made the biggest mistake by picking like the wrong person by not entering into but not taking, deciding not to take the flight back then. It would be along the lines like there was different like info that went in Sanjon and there was like and like info telling Sanjon that like the consequence for like making the wrong decision would be like like and the different like info basically saying something along the lines and like info cutting the phone was like was another and at that point Sanjon picking the it's like bank balance and didn't lead Sanjon me finding out like the bank balance is like the scenario that I'm looking for and like by the number different like Janho will be like basically showing up to that location and Janho and Sanjon will having their reunion at that point like the scenario that I'm looking for. Okay, so like the name frame system right now is like supposed to break like the value in that simply or for an indicating like the payment had by Sanjay. The camper and others are still like under the thing though right now but like attention to like escape right now. Still I'm looking like even though he would be like escaping like he would be like leaving that Squid card on top of them or like on their pocket like or those two men that would be like very dedicated and lying on the block like that you know, yeah, so like definitely when the production right now with like Tempo using the computer and literally getting like Sanjong's like current details and everything like I'm looking Janko right now will be getting Sanjong's number current phone number as well as like in the range so like yeah like I'm looking into it precisely want like Sanjong right now reaching like that location and another one right now by the time Sanjong will be right now finding those two men of like Sanjong like basically badly injured and lying on the floor and like the studio card was like in one of their pockets and then like it would be the moment like Sanjay would be shockingly seeing that studio card like especially that other person would have like the person who played back would have totally left by now and like it would be like the moment like Sanjay would be shockingly taking out like that studio card like basically from the pocket of person and like that and also like Sanjay would be most likely getting the calls from like example at that point it's like the scenario that I'm looking for and so just like the main on the train system right now is that basically this entire was like 2 or 3 years after like basically Janko waking up from it's like the dream state like after the like Janko like basically might have by then like Janko might have totally forgotten like Janko's mind might have been filled with that thought of like basically being able to get so close to like and forget like not still losing go like that absolute disappointment and sadness might have been like the only thing in like Janko's mind at that time was like even to the present, like John Romero already forgot about like the key element like Sanjion was definitely the prediction. So like it might be only through that whole ticket like that basically once like Jumbo had seen like the name Sanjion, it might be only at that point that basically after seeing Sanjion back in like the still back in like the thing like the game building back then in 2020 after that like I was wondering like it might have been only right now in like the present that Janko might have even thought of like Sanjo. It's definitely my birthday impression. So, okay, so let me know the birthday impression right now is for like Sanjo reaching like the location basically Sanjo right now suddenly not being able to like reach those two men of like Sanjo and like Sanjo right now putting out his weapon like I'm right now for like the scenario would be like definitely that like certain players that he might have definitely not taken the life of those two men. Just definitely yeah, like I'm whispering that right now, let's what Sanjay will be finding would be like most likely those two men that live in like in that whole area, like I'm whispering like Sanjay find all of them like finding that those two men in that side of state with like a with like cluster as well over there. Not, it's like it will be in such a condition like they will be still alive, but in such a condition would be how like I'm looking right now. Sanjay right now finding that and like they are being like there would definitely be a Squid card in one of their pockets. That's like the scenario that I'm looking at of the Rangers. Okay, so like the name of the Korean fiction right now and go back because of like to be like right now hopefully making like so few men of like John like basically play the 200 of like now right now the premium of the Rangers right now that like the situation like the also like the weapon that like right next to them like Liam was like that sort of a place that games typically with the Rangers would be like he would be like the second son. He might have actually been like the second son of Inam, especially when the emerging. So like it would be different. Like the sport, how that go that person playing the identity as well as like the info might have grew up might have been totally different because like in the case of info like I'm the thing while Janho won't be like the son of like Inam as different like in the case of that. Info is electrically different as with them and then the next in the case of like info details might have group with with like jump of like mother is definitely going to trend which she might have gotten divorce from those from that inner way back to the new intervention. But in the case of like in-house that younger brother who will be like suicide person playing the tragedy, he might have grew up like fully like even to other group with like in definitely my opinion don't live with that in all the way into that creek and other and then certainly we will into like like spend our time like like in now my don't only affect the mind of that person who plays in the tragedy and they grew up with that in certainly so like he might have taken like games like games and all these games like way too seriously in life was certainly not the same but so like he might be even seeing like that like this video and the other things that we were like right now those are definitely with like two kind of rock paper so like I'm different like definitely right now I'm kind like the young married person who will be I mean like the two men of like Sanjon and going to be like the young married person that would be like in the and I was bring that other guy I was bring like gaming is like the scenario that I was bringing and I'm like at that point different like in an extremely realistic manner I'm different like the person playing that actually giving that weapon most likely to the person playing the battery would be having a weapon with himself and he would be like the weapon on the saber side that would be like an extra weapon and like I'm looking at him giving that weapon to the side of that win up among those two men and just telling him to like basically take the life of like that his like part of that development certainly my impression and like that was like that way like the person playing the battery forcing him to do that causing the winner to do that. Hence, like the working day, the strategy will be taking both of the price with like the scenarios that and like the work like the strategy will be putting that pressure on so that person and I'm looking that way that winner taking the life of that young married person is like the scenario that I'm looking and that's like the certain things that actually like taking back the weapon and basically untying that person among like Sangyo like two men like basically that person who had wants that to end up of the system like that is so like basically the person playing the actually at that point like untying him and basically then like him leaving just like that is like the scenario that I'm looking so that's like the scenario that I'm looking at and then let's bring up that point like before like the certain things that actually if we leaving like I was like him that basically giving a second chance to that winner. And which would be actually meant for like Sanjon, but like Sanjon would be in the defining like the scenario that I'm doing. And then like the certain things that actually just like that. It's like the scenario that I'm doing. So like that winner might hope that it's like one the man of like Sanjon, like that winner like he might be like totally traumatized with that single incident or I feel like traumatized for life is like the scenario that I'm missing. So again, him totally straight away telling Sanjon like when Sanjon is fighting in like in Ambassador totally straight away telling Sanjon that basically he doesn't want like Sanjon's job, that he's like looking Sanjon's job and basically he'll be like giving just like the scenario that by throwing that Squid Game card towards like Sanjon's like the scenario that I'm looking for again. Also, like the name of the rejection right now, so like the confidence person will seeing like the center of papers is like saying that of like Russian roulette kind of like a scenario. And right now, the like the person playing the market is already having full separate up one to like demonstrate that. And the person definitely for like right now, unlike the person playing the market, have said like right now that the survival odds might have definitely right now changed to like from 5 in 6 to like basically 4 in 6 so the limit of the emergency. So and like to get like I'm brain like right now the brain like solely due to like the consequence being that of like the Russian the whole like kind of like a scenario under the like definitely right now my brain impression for like those two men of like Sanjo that is surviving and then but like I'm like the person among those two men like the one that will be losing that was losing like the 200 of the person for the considering the amount of the impression they definitely that young person who recently married is definitely a very impression. Yet, like I was like him, that luck totally favored him and basically him, like basically still surviving like the whole Shindro like scenario. This is like the scenario that I was doing. And with that, like I'm looking like him, like the person playing the like to be like leaving, and the very I'm looking static amount of like him leaving, while like putting the Korean guard in one of the pocket. Like the scenario that I'm thinking on. Okay, so like that game was very interesting right now for like and then those two men of like 200 like showing like basically the young person who is just got married like basically him getting the qualified like right now it's very impression that league with like was like the person playing the strategy about to pull the trigger like I'm like this time as well like I'm like this person come to this time like this joy will be like totally like and that like that it's not like at that point it's like the scenario that I'm looking for like at that point I'm looking for the scenario to be like the person playing the strategy giving joy one more chance uh, to once again play that 200 rock paper scissors like the scenario that I'm looking so with like already with like already the person playing the to be already having put the trigger one plus like the pulling the trigger twice during like the whole disqualification number but also survival might be like right now at that point would be like 3 out of 6 is definitely my brain so definitely at that point I'm looking like them actually play like enjoy like straight away playing like that of the versus and basically, like at that point as well, I'm also like it would be like Mr. Choice that would be like once again like losing after like playing for operator system, it would be Mr. Choice that would be once again losing. So that other person is like the scenario that I'm going to fix. So like at that point, like I'm losing like the person like that would be like once again like putting the weapon towards like raising the weapon towards like Mr. Joy and basically once again pulling the trigger while like the odds of survival would be like 3 out of 6 get like I'm looking that the scenario to be like Mr. Joy once again getting lucky. And like with that like I'm different like the games would different like would be over at that point I'm different luckily like that person who the people who plays the like it only seeing that Mr. Joy as like being even though being lucky enough to be worthy of like surviving uh like that for covered under prop Squid game uh would be along the lines like I'm different like at that point the person playing the strategy will get in. So like I'm bring like that double-handed rock paper scissors game and the not continuing from that point on like him declaring that like Mrs. Joy as like the one who lost to like the other person get like Mrs. Joy solely due to his luck having survived and like that double-handed like rock paper scissors game as like him considering that game as over. And him leading at that point is like the scenario that I was doing. So like I'm going to that way due to such extreme luck sheer like ambassador like enjoy surviving like the like double-handed like robot versus like the scenarios that ambassador and ambassador is a relatively very impressive right now with like even after like Joy won like the other hand and profit versus like the crazy person who plays the strategy like forcing them to like play again like ambassador so like right now that's what that person would be intending would be like a uh, would be like a round of three stepping in episode. So like I was like yeah, but like in like the controlling like Mr. Joy winning like the first round of like the kind of episodes. So I was like in the second round I was like it would be like the other guy that would be winning the second round and I was in the third round it would be Mr. Joy. And I was in the third round I was to be still Mr. Joy that would be like losing the third round and then like the scenario that I was like so like at that point I was like and I'm looking all these 3 rounds like I'm looking like uh the that trigger being pulled by like the person playing the target. He will be like totally hoping for like basically to for like basically one of them to die, but like I'm looking like not totally favoring both of them and like I'm looking even towards the end of like the third round as well. But like I'm looking it would be like in the third round it was Joy that was losing. And even at that point as well I'm looking like Joy will be like still surviving enough for like basics like because of that sheer lack of the joy in like the third round as well would be like surviving like the Russian rule like just like the scenario that I was like and at that point I was more like definitely after like 3 rounds of like playing the double handed rock paper scissors then definitely putting like that person playing strategy like declaring like the other guy as like the winner and basically ending that double handed rock paper scissors at that point. But like he would be ending that with like a disappointment because of like Mr. Choi as well as the other person getting lucky to like survive that to survive at that point is like the scenario that I know. So like the state fight of mention that thinking on just that even after like 3 rounds of like some kind of like both Mr. Choi as well as the other person would be surviving. It's like the scenario that I'm considering and so like definitely going to direction right now as for like the crazy person to place the strategy right now. That's for the third round because like like even changing up like the survival rate from like 5 out of 6 to like 1 out of 6. That way like increasing like the that probability to like 5 out of 6 selections. So that would be most likely because of like I'm looking like with like 2 rounds of like the double-handed versus or 3 over like I'm looking to be that totally like it would be only intending like for like a total of 3 rounds. And basically for like the double-handed rock paper scissors, for him to like end that double-handed rock paper scissors from that point is definitely after like the third round is definitely another inversion. So definitely I'm preferring like that Reggie would be like definitely desperate to like have one of like one of the two people playing the other hand of soccer, which is to definitely like the scenario that I'm looking. But like I'm looking like still I'm looking like just like crazy and like would be like disappointed of like the scenario that I'm looking. Because like even in like the third round and looking like only um one chance of like with like survival rate being like 1 out of 6, like I'm looking still like I'm looking both of them to like survive because like I'm looking sitting to my understand that like in like the third round of the game once again it would be Mr. Choice that will be like losing in like the third round as well. And that way Mr. Choi declared as like the other person declared as the winner and Mr. Choi declared as like the person who has lost that kind of rock paper scissors. And I was thinking like at that point definitely that still I'm looking like Mr. Choi's that would be so extreme that like Mr. Choi totally getting that 1 out of 6 survival rate chance and basically that way that choice like surviving that Russian for like even with like one chance out of 6 to like survive like still like story being that is that joy ending up surviving that Russian for like even at that point it's like scenario that end up and like the person who plays the activity being extremely disappointed was like the scenario and still ending the game with like the scenario that I'm looking. Okay, so that definitely transition right now for like what Junho we finding within like the sunshine capital building that different that definitely Junho be that there are quite that said like drawing of like the simple drawing of like that the person who plays the writing on that for that basically that they have that initially drawn and basically that as well as like a civilian card as well. I'm looking like right now, how find it that sunshine capital building certainly not better. Then that civilian card would be like the card that like Sanjeon had got from like the subway a year after like the 2020 experience as like Sanjeon was planning on like boarding that flight. Which might have been definitely towards like America. Definitely not a brand. So like that civilian card, like that second civilian card that like Sanjeon got back then. But like that definitely be something like the sunshine capital building. Uh, and definitely that would be what like I'm doing right now. Jump over these like seeing that these two things what I'm looking jump over here that are right now seeing and but then that something that will the things like the scenarios that I'm looking at my brain. And my first impressions were like at that point definitely jump over be like totally having an idea as to like what song you want to right now doing. Will definitely my first and seeing that Squid card as well as like that drawing the kind of scenario that I'm looking at something capital building like I'm looking like straight away. Jumbo first of all like I was looking like Jumbo like the moment that Jumbo had seen like Sanjyon like name picture through that or through like the computer like basically just now like itself like Jumbo might not be straight away might have realized that basically Sanjyon was like the winner in fact during that in this game and that led to totally Sanjyon survived along the lines like straight away like Jumbo might have figured out like on top of that, like I was hoping that this is like the very first time Jumbo had seen Sangyon, like Sangyon was like basically complaining at like the station about like Squid Game and everything like so particularly because of the Amber like definitely Jumbo right now on seeing all these things within like the something like Jumbo be straight away coming to the conclusion that it will be Sangyon might have ended up being like the winner of like the 2020 Squid Game and might have got all that huge reward money. And after that, like Sanjon might have only regretted all that participating in like the Squid Game and like Sanjon might have decided to like stop like and put an end to like the Squid Game. And so like Sanjon might have been just then like losing after winning of the 2020 Squid Game, like Sanjon might have been losing like the all of that huge reward money to like basically to capture like the people and people behind like the studio and put an end to like studio exactly like Jumpo. Basically Jumpo like coming to such a conclusion after like searching around within like the sunshine capital right now, like the scenario that I'm going to Alright, well, I'm definitely impression right now as of like in like the sunshine capital building that basically was like Jumpo finding like the address to like the Ping's model of like Sangyeon. And right now it's like Sangyeon noticing that the outside board of like the Ping of like reflecting total that lighten up like at least will be like the work of not Jumbo, but like I'm just here right now. There will be someone within like the Ping model of like Sangyeon, building of like Sangyeon's the level of mention, but like that someone won't be like Jumbo. Jumbo the most likely on his way to like the Ping model, but like I'm looking right now, the person that will be within that building of like Sangyo, that Ping model of Sangyo, maybe definitely I'm looking to be like the uh, person who plays the that will be like opportunity would be like the person that I'm looking that would be right now the person in like Sangyo, so in like the Ping model, and he would be like the first person who would have lightened up like the Ping outside for of like dungeons like in model especially in the frame for example like I'm looking like dungeon entering like the ping model and they really even entering his home and really not finding anyone and like dungeon with only uh, that at that point like dungeon would be like confused but like I'm looking like uh, then I'm looking all of a sudden like from like the person playing the battle to like show up from like from within like that room. She would be like hiding somewhere within that room and like him all of a sudden like showing up with like this like smiling face and another one like him basically pulling out the battle in front of like Sangyeon like the scenario that I'm portraying. And then after the like once again like Sangyeon and him like playing the battle is like the scenario that I'm living and definitely I'm switching to my same version as when he would be showing up in front of Sangyeon at that point like him totally like telling Sangyeon about like taking the wrong choice, Sangyeon taking the wrong choice and as like and about like the consequence and like Sangyeon's like parents like parents in terms of different like right now we are always definitely have a famous and next thinking on it and that would be like as like a punishment like would be around the lines like he would be like the person playing the RTD to be telling Sangyeon and then the different like him like pulling out the RTD cards to like the scenario that I'm looking then like Sangyeon and him playing the RTD and Sangyeon losing to him and basically him giving Sangyeon that Squid Game card and him leaving this like that and I'm looking for like Sangyeon maybe still trying to like catch up him but like I'm looking like he would be like a lot from that like basically Sangyeon single Sangyeon will be trying to like fight him at that point and trying to catch up and like I'm looking like him to like easily or and defeat and badly injure Sangyeon and basically him leaving just like that after like him Sangyeon like this became part of like the scenario that I'm delivering and to be like precisely after like the critical place that like you would be leaving like the ping model that I'm delivering like right after he would be leaving that I'm delivering like example to be like showing up to like the ping model with like and finding Sangyeon in like such a badly injured state. It's like scenario that I'm looking and that way through that interaction like Sangyeon telling Janho about like the person playing the RPG and like about like right then itself like Sangyeon having received that Squid Game card and about like and about what Sangyeon maybe revealing everything about like balance as well right at that point like being ending up being zero and everything like and all that like everything that happened after like the after like Sanjon being able to meeting the city and like I'm saying that not everything but still I'm looking Sanjon revealing to like Jaho about like just like everything about this like sunshine capital and how like Sanjon was like finding and really hiring all this men and basically desperately trying to like capture this person playing the writing so that we could that way eventually stop like the game like that and then Sanjon was like desperately finding all these past years was like desperately trying to capture this person playing the strategy, and this was like the consequence, like this has finally ended up being like the consequence for like Sandio doing that. Will be along the lines like Sandio telling like Jumbo at that point. Yet like then with like Sandio like violence being pure at that point. Like it's even more than survival for Sandio at that point would be like still with that determined to like basically to bring down like the Squid Games and like capture like the person playing the strategy and bring down the Squid Game and bring all of those people behind like this villain to like just to kind of get them arrested and jailed. This definitely would be affect the mindset of Sanjon and able to bring back the and able to bring back the like jump points Sanjon like at that point strategy like, about like like practical plan to like turn down like this video during like the 2024 Squid Game. Yeah, let's start like Sanjon will be having at that point. It's like the scenario that I'm just bringing out to okay, so that's definitely one of the three I'm listening right now with like Sanjon, like with like an extremely serious and angry take like basically Sanjon right now. boldly telling that person who plays the strategy is that basically it's because of him that Sanjay right now have all this money. Like even Sanjay is saying that with like confidence that I'm right now for like the person playing the strategy to like tell Sanjay that asking and that person plays the strategy that right now asking Sanjay like is Sanjay is like sure about that or something along the lines like him asking Sanjay. And those are like him smiling at Sanjay and at that point like Sanjay probably quickly checking phone and basically checking Sanjay like bank account through his like phone and like Sanjay probably finding out that like bank balance is like all of the customers Sanjay probably realizing that basically that that basically like that was that has and that like his time while setting up being zero has ended up being like the consequence of that Sanjay back then not taking that flight back then along the lines like sometimes of near realizing is like the scenario that I'm putting. And even though like I was like the person playing the he has like a weapon right now within like I'm putting like right now after that like I'm putting definitely him playing the lucky game with like Sanjon and I'm putting like him most likely even telling Sanjon that before playing and I was putting maybe like him playing the lucky game with like Sanjon while having his like weapon in one of his hands. It's like the scenario that I'm putting. Yeah, like I was so like I was when Sanjon with all the things that like it's just that basically this time it might be different that time if Sanjon loses to that guy like to play strategy then in the target game then like he will be like straight away taking Sanjon like in that weapon the deal and Sanjon is the beginning. Yeah, like I'm observing Sanjon playing that strategy game and Sanjon still losing to that guy and I was like at that point him like totally pointing to flag weapon at Sanjon and Sanjon would only thinking at that point that like he's about to die. But like at that point, like when putting the weapon back to the like pocket and him instead like pulling out like the Squid Game card, dropping 2024 Squid Game out of his pocket and giving it to like Sanjo and then we can leave it just like that. Like the scenarios that I'm answering question. Okay, so like definitely my book direction right now I've got like Sanjo telling like the person playing the right guitar like he's not interested in that and basically he's interested in like the main person like basically even though right now the consumer was the remission that it would be upper like illness that it would right now probably be like import that would be that and most likely maybe remotely it would be like I'm looking area right now it would be in that currently in some other country maybe like the country in this like info was and might be like remotely like running like the Squid Game organizing and doing all the organizing and everything for like students from that country. Like it will be still like upper enough that continuing international going to still info that will be upper enough that will be like in charge of like the of like running the studio and everything right now. But still my consideration that like the person playing the RPG would be like most likely the younger brother of info. It's definitely my consideration, the actual younger brother of info. Definitely I'm also like Janko's like father would be different and not in numbers definitely was it. So like info actual younger brother would be like the person playing the RPG. And so like it's like the if Kingdom dies like everybody it would be like this exact person playing the RPG that would be like uh in host like Sakusa and basically the person in charge of like basically running like the studios at that point is definitely my range. So like Sangyeon will be like no Sangyeon would be like only unaware of it. But this will be like the exact situation, especially my friend. So like definitely but like the person playing back in these would be just like someone who just like extends like the invitation to like for like the candidates to like participate in the game and on, but like we will be having that much of like a relevant that so also definitely my potential range. Also that my potential person right now is that even though right now like the person playing strategy is like right now sitting in like the same room like right in front of like Sanjon while he's like holding the weapon like basically and since like it's just now that the person like the strategy had taken the life of like of that Mr. King, that person that Sanjay have hired to like capturing that they should like just now that like we have is they person like the strategy has like so casually taken his life. But the bring like right now in like the current situation, even though right now totally bring like definitely that person playing the strategy would walk in the generally bonding like Sanjay to like stop his whole so like hiring of people to like basically capture like the people behind the studios and Sanjay intend to like stop in studio put a permanent end to like this game and everything. Even though like definitely the person playing strategy in India right now uh, would be genuinely wanting Sangyon to like stop all this doing all these things and they really for Sangyon to like continue on living Sangyon's life without going after like games. Like even though this would be exactly right now the suffering would be what like the person playing the strategy will be wanting. Yet like I'm suffering right now since like the person playing strategy would like actually use this like weapon on Sangyon and basically Sangyon would be won't be able to like at that point do anything. That way Sangyon like Sangyon won't be able to like do anything to like stop like this movie at that point. Still, my personal impression as for like the like the strategy, even while he has brought the weapon, it would be solely for like self-defense and but like it wouldn't be because if Sangyon is so extremely wealthy, it will be solely and will really same like Sangyon's home. Like it will be solely for meant for like self-defense and that weapon won't be at all meant to like take Sangyon's life as definitely member and the sole reason would be because of like that person playing the strategy would be like most likely deep down having like serious sort of respect towards like Sangyon solely due to like the fact that like Samsung had survived and won like the 2020 season because like I'm the person playing the strategy would be like the younger brother of like info and like the person playing the strategy would have they would grow up with like Ilnam. So like I'm doing Ilnam might have that growing up like Ilnam might have resulted in like Ilnam uh, turning him into like such a person where like the person playing the strategy would be seeing like the entire life as like basically a game and basically so like she would be like the person like he would be so extremely crazy and taking games so extremely seriously as taking life as like a game so extremely as a game so extremely seriously that like from his perspective like basically Sangam someone who has basically not to survive but like born like the only person to like win like the 2020 Squid Game that Sangyeon basically it would be like he would be totally seeing Sangyeon through such an angle with like such a an angle of like an impressive manner like he was making Sangyon's technical something. So like solely due to that reason I'm super like even though like the person like Sadaki right now has like a weapon within he won't be right now trying to like won't be using like the trying to like even use the weapon of Sangyon or like try to like take Sangyon's life regardless of like it being obvious that like Sangyon's intended would just be like basically bring down and put a stop to like the civilians which like the people feel like the last thing that the person with like playing the like will be wanting. Yet like I'm like him right now won't be trying even attempting to like basically take Sangyal's life to like the scenario that again. So like the name of the impression right now as for like the person playing that India right now showing up to even deciding to like show up to like Sangyal's like thing model would be precisely like it's then would be like according to like the orders most likely given by import to him, which would be most likely to like really give like the Sudian card for like the 2024 Sudians to like Sanjeon and basically with like the betting against like Sanjeon for like the 2024 Sudian that I'm preparing right now most likely like the person like the strategy would be making would be most likely that like if Sanjeon is able to like also win like the 2024 Sudian then like they would like that like the people behind like Studium would be that permanently stopping like the Studiums would be in that country. It would be along the lines like I'm looking like for the bet that they would be making with like Sanjo. Like it's like the scenario that I'm looking that way like Sanjo definitely entering like the 2024 Studium, but like I'm looking like Sanjo won't be entering like the 2024 Studium to especially after like Sanjo's experience with like winning like going through like the 2020 Studium like definitely Sanjo definitely won't be like at all planning or actually playing like the and after like the 2024 Squid Game, like Sanjon at that point, I was would be only entering like the 2024 Squid Game, pretending to basically actually playing the 2024 Squid Game to actually see the winner of like, the 2024 Squid Game. But in actuality, Sanjon will be while on entering like the 2024 Squid Game, like Sanjon only intent would be to like basically to fight and bring down like the Squid Game from within and capture like the people behind like the students like from within because like I'm looking before entering into like the 2024 game that they was like definitely Sanjeon and Janko would be meeting up and at that point I'm looking like Sanjeon like and Janko would be planning on basically like that that the but putting on a fake actor to like Sanjeon is like actually planning on like winning like the 2024 game when in actuality it would be like Janko and as well as Sanjeon's practical plan to like basically wanted to have like Janko collect evidence and bring all the police forces like when basically could capture all the VIPs that will be showing up for like to watch like the traditions of the game as well as like the main person running like the traditions of the game, which should be the main goal. Like they need to capture all these people and upload all these people and that way to like personally put an end to the experience. Represent like Amazon Exxon as well as like uh, John will be entering into like the 20 of the game and like like even though this time like John won't be able to like catch up to or like infiltrate into like the ship from the port like still like John towards like the end of the 20 of the game. By then like would be able to like find like the Squid Game island and then like would be infiltrating into like game. It's like the scenario that I'm talking about. So like the film I'm very interested right now. So like the person playing the Rakija right now is like telling Sanjon about like that when he was like a Squid worker, like basically the person who had lost one of like the Squid and like that person think he was about to take the life of like that person might have definitely been Sanjon. And like the situation might the game might have been precisely during like the Marvel Squid Game against like Ilham, definitely my perimeter because like I'm the person like definitely just like say uh because like the person like Sarakiti would be definitely be the son of Ilnam. So like he would be totally knowing that like Ilnam doesn't have any memory loss and like Ilnam was like basically and that basically but and that was when the scenario might have been when like Sanjon during like the Marble Studio with like the fourth Marble Studio in 2020 with like Ilnam when like Sanjon was like down to his like last marble. I think like that was such a scenario when Sanjon is like down to his like last single marble and basically that Sang-yeon, I think like I thought that basically like he was like basically and then like when Nam had basically purposefully like started to like lose to like Sang-yeon like basically and Sang-yeon that way was able to like make that comeback. So like during that time when Sang-yeon was down to like last marble, like that might have been when like another friend like this like whole person who plays the Raghavi while it was like uh, while working as like the stadium worker had basically pointed weapon at like Sanji on a step in the so like I was something like the person playing the Raghavi might have totally expected like him to totally uh, at that point to for like Sanji to die that like he would be like totally it might have been totally walking towards like Sanji while and might have pointed his weapon at Sanji thinking that thinking that he's about to like take Sanjun's life, but like it might be at that point that like he might have shockingly seen like basically enough like totally putting on a fake act and basically allowing Sanjun to like defeat Ilnam. Definitely was there. So like from like the point of view of like this person who played the he would be like a son of Ilnam, like he would be seeing Ilnam's father as like this extremely great person who like who's like running like the entire business to game and everything, who built breakfast to game and everything, staying up to game and everything. So like from that Vincent childhood, like I'm looking like for the person playing the Nagini like cinema might have been this like great hero in terms of like he might have like supposed to playing the Nagini might have totally felt like inferior or like useless and might have like totally been desperate for like in terms of recognition, especially with the reimbursement. So like currently my comprehension. So like like it might have been like seen in that totally purposefully lose to like put on a fake act and purposefully trying to like lose to like Sanjon might have made Sanjon look like an extremely great and important person in front of like this person playing the strategy at that point of like the scenario set up with the whole script and my comprehension. And maybe that might be the sole reason for like this entire time and like basically even just now with like the person playing the Nagini having taken like the life of like one of like a Sangyo men like still like him even while showing up with like a weapon like him still would won't be like taking Sangyo's like won't even attempting to like take Sangyo's like no matter what Sangyon would be doing. Even if like Sangyon attacked like the person playing the Nagini still like he would be only like defending himself and like won't even if like he attacks Sanjong back, like he still won't be using the weapon on Sanjong, especially my person direction. That is solely like right now that is solely because of this racial that like the person who seen the person playing the back he might have seen as like a great hero throughout the entire his life, like in his father, like basically him like having a recognized like Sanjong and that too even before like him like to the point of like purposefully even looking to like Sanjon like basically that might have been like a great shock for like the person playing strategy currently not the reimbursement. So like my thoughts reimbursement that like said like how like the person like that actually is saying right now like we might not only felt that basically all the Indian candidates are like worthless, but like I was already seeing like now like basically doing so much importance to like Sanjon at that point might have been when like he might have felt that basically the scrutiny candidates are not worthless would be along the lines of like what might have happened in the past. Is definitely not great. Okay, so like definitely not the reimbursement right now for like the person playing the actually basically Sangyeon's like absolute lack of fear while he had pointed the weapon on Sangyeon and basically Sangyeon's like appreciated dialogue and mention of like the word like laptop like emphasizing like that might have seriously affected like the person playing the package is definitely my friend. And also words his dialogues might not only got onto like the person playing the package is definitely my friend. Especially because of like basically him having like told with like so much of like passion with like the person playing the package talking about his like past life as like a game worker and basically about that him even in the fact that like actually him feeling recognized like only at the moment that basically he got a weapon and basically all that like basically that way like the desperation like the user might have at least accepted that absolute desperation within him the documenting that actually to feel recognized to feel acknowledged with the name in the life of the name with the emergence. So definitely he might have passionately told about like his like backstory as like a studio work up to Sanjon and since like all Sanjon had to then respond back to all that like was just that basically that the mention of like the word laptop again like definitely that might have easily gotten to definitely my friends and that might be that might have instantly made him like feel disturbed and that be precise reason for like the person bringing the actually like repeatedly calling right now calling Sanjon like the special person like since like Sanjon so special like the fact that like we repeatedly using the word special to refer to like Sanjon definitely to be precisely because of like him right now would be totally feeling down deep down struggling with the brain solely due to like the Sanjon's like unwavering like lack of fear while interacting with him as well as like Sanjon like even repeatedly mentioning like the word laptop, like I'm also mean who will be like repeatedly feeling more and more worthless right now. Especially the person playing the strategy will be like repeatedly feeling more and more worthless right now. Especially my game. So this might also be like a main factor in like him right now, even wanting to like play like the whole correction rule like kind of like him wanting right now to like play a game with like Sanjon like which would definitely be a game of like what that's a new environment and him wanting to play this game with like Sanjay right now would definitely will be definitely because of like him wanting to like prove to himself that like he's like better than Sanjay because like the game particularly calling Sanjay like a special one like definitely there will be that extreme inferiority from like that might have like right now formed within the person playing strategy right now towards like Sanjay right now certainly when the game and definitely feel that right now like the person playing the strategy will be that so extremely desperate to like basically to prove to himself that like he's better than like Sanjo. It's definitely one with the immersion. So like he will be right now desperate to like prove that to himself and basically like he would be also feeling as if like basically uh and that would be the best reason for like him right now like wanting to like play the game with like Sanjo definitely my information. So like right now the work just like info as well right now showing up to like the uh uh to near to like the thing model like like right now by the time like info would be like making up to like the top floor of the thing model and with like info hearing like the sound of a weapon like the scenario that I'm looking and that would be definitely the depth of like the sound of like the depth of like the person who plays the strategy, especially when the player. I'm considering right now in this game, like the person playing the strategy will be losing to like Sanjay on like the scenario that I'm doing, and the person playing the strategy won't be able to like play in such like mutual confident manner as he used to while playing the like strategy game usually. It's definitely another emotion, and I'm considering this time. I'm considering maybe for it to not be a strategy game, for the like a possibility that I'm considering. And I'm considering like definitely with this game, like I'm looking like like Sanjon, like absolute lack of fear, that is the thing like Sanjon, like there will be absolutely no fear in that Sanjon eyes as like Sanjon is staring at like the person playing Dakiji while Sanjon is playing in that the game right now, but like the person playing the Dakiji, like the scenario that I'm doing, and that unwavering lack of fear within like Sanjon eyes, like that was the fucking like is the affect like the person playing that is even more and more to the point of like this like performance in like the current game that they will be playing like this like performance will be seriously getting affected to the point of like him totally ending up losing against like Sancho in that game, and straight away like I'm like he would be like totally uh, feeling as if like he's like worthless, and basically at that point like I'm like he will be of like the mindset like I'm definitely like at that point like when he will be at that point feeling worthless, and like at that point like the person playing the target is feeling as if like as if like he would be like taking his own life at that point of like the scenario that I'm looking, because like he wouldn't want to like live to like feel live while feeling worthless would be like along the lines of like what he would be the person playing the racket would be feeling at that point. So like I'm looking at that point like in taking his own life as kind of scenario that I'm going to the correct and the camera. So like by the time like Simpo would be like showing up, I mean like Jumbo would be like showing up to like Sanjon's room in like the pink motor like I'm like Jumbo so be seeing like really the person playing the racket like usually in uh lying that on floor at that point. It's like and Sanjon right there. It's like the scenario that I'm developing and the reason. But like suddenly Jumbo would be like Sanjon will be telling Jumbo as be like what happened, and if he didn't Jumbo would be like straight away believing Sanjon was the creator of the because like Jumbo would be like totally that even though that Janho and Sanjon have had like very few interactions, like still both of them like Janho will be able to totally tell that basically Sanjon like as for like the genuinity and goodness like within like Sanjon, but he will be like it's definitely my preferred version. So like Janho and definitely protecting like not suspecting Sanjon, and like if he believes that Sanjon is like innocent about like everything Sanjon was saying about like the type of like the person playing like the strategy like due to like inducing to like on your in that game that I play like your scenario that I'm and my opinion and then like and then it could be after that like I'm like eventually Sanjon will be getting like a good game card eventually for like especially in the first good game. It's like and that will be from like info like someone like like another person who like like info would be like assigning to like legend what that when they in the first good game card to like Sanjon and that way. Okay, so like this is very interesting right now. As for like the Russian to like game between like Sanjon and like, the person playing that is like this time like I'm playing things so they're totally different. And that's a different like the scenario to be like this time like with like him like spinning like his weapon and really hitting Sanjon's turn the to like boost the weapon. Like the first turn being Sanjon like and the weapon like in the very first turn of Sanjon etc. So uh the person playing the target is that will be running out and like that person the scenario to be that's the very first use of like the weapon by the Sangyon by Sangyon itself like another person like the person playing the battery would be that ending up losing the game and straight away dying is like the scenario that I was on the ring and the ring. So we select the name of the representation right now for like in like direction for that game between like Sanjon and like strategy person like basically like in like the very first like use of like the weapon by like the person like the strategy that his face itself like him like totally stretching out and his face itself is like shaking at that point. So this is actually because of that extreme inferiority complex of like a team that he was totally feeling inferior towards like Sanjon and he was totally feeling as like Sanjon as like Simon as like a special person, as like a superior gamer and everything. So we organize we will be feeling as like Sanjon as like someone who's super and basically like he will be totally feeling strongly as if like after like this interaction alone between Sanjon and him, like on the different like he will be like the person playing the like will be feeling like extremely worthless. So like I'm this is the reason for like unlike in the case of like while like he had basically abandoned like the two men of like Sanjo like basically at that point like he had basically used the same weapon and pulled the same trigger on himself and basically without any fear at that point. But right now while him doing the very same thing like him stressing out so much and his face even shaking will be like precisely because of like just the reason like because like he will be only right now feeling Sanjo as like uh way better and than him and way more special than him. So he been only feeling that fear of the possibility of him actually listen to Sangyong into Russian roulette game and him ending up dying even more than he would be in fear of losing to Sangyong in this Russian roulette game and from his point of view that would be making that would be the that would be a scenario where Sangyeon would be his fear will be ending up pro and basically Sangyeon being the special one and him being the worthless person would be that would be the fear that we'll be having so this would be the sort of reason for losing to Sangyeon would be right now would be the biggest fear that he will be having and this will be the first reason for him probably being so stressed out as while playing the Russian role game against Sangyeon right now. It's definitely the okay, so the name of the three impressions right now as for in the second round of the Russian roulette as right now Sangyeon is about to pull the trigger just before that basically the person playing the strategy basically came going to the extreme desperate attempt at extent of basically even mentioning how terrible Sangyeon was way back in 2020 in the strategy game even mentioned going through that it would only because of the strategy would be the fact that Sangyeon has absolutely no fear while playing the Russian roulette game while he would be only feeling that absolute pressure and will be crumbling with that pressure and fear with it because it would be what's causing him to uh be to go to the desperate extent of basically him being desperate to create that fear within Sangyeon while playing the Russian roulette game within and that would be the sole reason for it could be a desperate attempt to create that fear within Sangyeon that him then mentioning basically how terrible Sangyeon was at the RPG game and for that right now it's definitely my impression. So my impressions that right now the Russian roulette seeing Sangyeon play that Russian roulette in an that absolute unwavering fearless manner would be creating even more an absolute fear within the person playing strategy as of he's about to lose to Sangyeon and that would be the precise reason for the person playing strategy being so extremely desperate right now. It's definitely my impression. So let's name of the three impression right now that is look each turn in the current question to game between Sangyeon and the person playing the strategy and about for the game going towards the very end maybe all the way towards the fifth round of the scenario that I'm looking at just each passing around I'm looking for the person playing the strategy we can getting more and more desperate each time Sangyeon will be about to play about to pull the trigger and since being even more desperate and trying to desperately create fear within Sangyeon each time as each time Sangyeon will be about to pull the trigger in a fearless manner. While in the case of each of the term after the first term of the person playing the negative I'm electing to be visibly shaking with fear more and more each time as he will be about to pull the trigger, especially my secondary temperature until it will be the sixth turn and in the sixth turn him ending up the person playing the negative ending up losing and ending up that is the scenario that I'm looking at 300. Okay, so the female was very interesting right now as for the thing right now that the person playing the strategy right now is telling Sangyeon as Sangyeon about to pull the trigger that basically if whether Sangyeon's mind is racing and it's basically if Sangyeon feels wants breaking the rules of the game and taking the life of a person playing the strategy right now by themselves basically or this would be totally the person playing the strategy projecting his fear and anxiety and his thoughts in his mind onto Sangyeon right now with the name of the brain. This will be all things that we going through the person playing strategy his mind and not on his mind right now, especially my very impression. It would be the person playing strategy would be such extreme pressure with him struggling and suffocating with the fear and the anxiety and stress right now that which he would be right now projecting through these words to Sangyeon out of the episode and in the horizons what would be happening right now is definitely not the impression. Okay, so the name of the impression right now as Sangyeon right now about to hold that final trigger that would decide whether between the Russian roulette game between Sangyeon and the person playing the strategy as to who will be winning because if Sangyeon right now pulls the trigger and basically if Sangyeon doesn't die then that would be an instant reveal that basically of as to who the winner is as to the winner being Sangyeon because in the next turn since it's sits around and thought like in the very next turn, like it would be obvious that like the person takes the strategy will be dying and like that way like basically that realization would be like the absolute fear of like the person playing the strategy right now, and that would be like it will be feeling that absolute fear of like realizing such a scenario happening. So like I was thinking to be that absolute fear that right now would be causing him like the person playing the strategy to go to the extreme the great extent of like him like trying to like make Sanjeev like basically take his life, and basically the second even saying right now the friend is saying that basically the key to like the person in Sanjeev wants to meet being in the pocket like basically, and like Sanjeev will be able to like get that key if like Sanjeev takes his life, and all this will be solely because of like him desperately wanting and desperately wishing for like Sanjeev to like break the rules of like the Russian goal like game and basically take just because like after the point, like he would be totally so extremely crazy and desperate to feel better than Sanjay on that right now, and that is the reason like he would be that sort of thing along the lines of like he would rather try than basically lose to like Sanjay, and that is the precise reason for like him right now with that absolute desperation like telling Sanjay to like admit to him uh, that Sanjay is like worthless and basically so that like he could like totally find this thing special at least for once in his life of the even with the so like definitely like the direct interaction with like Sanjay that might have affected like the person who plays with Akili who might have been like so extremely strong minded and might have never broke not even once in his life maybe after reaching out of souls but never with remission yet like I was thinking like this would be like the first time and since then this would be like the first time in his life where like someone might have been actually able to where a person might have been where, when a single person might have been actually able to like break him so much and weaken him so much and make him desperate so much it's the element of the reimbursement. So like right now I was thinking like we like the person like that he would be desperate to like feel special more than anything in this life, like even more than like surviving like for him like the only thing in his mind is basically to basically feel special before he dies would be like the only thing in his mind. So that's the reason for like him telling Sangyeon to like basically telling Sangyeon to like basically take his life and that's that he has like the key to like the person that Sangyeon wants to be like this would be all like him trying to like tempt Sangyeon to like basically break the rules of like the game and that way so that he would be having that like satisfaction that of basically that way like the game ending game not being over and that way like him wanting that satisfaction of not losing to like Sangyeon that way without the game not being completed like he for him to like ensure that basically that he doesn't lose to like Sanjon and also that like even though he would be dying like before that like for him to that way be able to ensure that basically through like Sanjon who right now he will be feeling as like far superior and special when compared to him like who sort of like that he will be feeling but less like to make Sanjon like feel that he's special and that way for him to feel special before he dies for once in his life would be that absolute desperation to everything like the person playing the idea right now. It's definitely the generation. So I'm also bringing right now. Definitely Sanjon like right now won't be and I'm also trying to see that like he's like mentioning that basically the person playing the idea he mentioned that like he has in his pocket the key to that basically meeting for Sanjon to give like meet the person who wants like so that he would definitely be a Squid Game card, definitely one of the generation. But like him even showing up right now to the thing model for Sanjon will be solely according to like the orders of import to like deliver like the 2024 Studium card to like Sanjon, the minimum of reimbursement. So uh, that's my going to reimbursement. So like my reimbursement is like when the person who plays the racket event has showed up to like the ping model to meet Sanjon. Like he might have only showed up to like the ping model with like the intent to like basically make Sanjon like because like Sanjon like basically is using all that money to like stop the game and him like basically not listening to like the I think Sanjon showing that after that of fear and basically going after like the people behind like the city and basically not boarding that flight back then and basically all this like that after that of fear with the Sanjon might have been disturbing for like this person like this a person who plays that RPG who might have always enjoyed like the fear in like people's eyes always because remember the image but like that might have like resulted in like absolute disturbance. So like everything that right now as like he had showed up to like the ring model, like his plan might have been to like basically not just give like just the game chart to like Sanjon, but like to also to like create that fear within that Sanjon had at one point in his life, and basically to to uh create back that fear within Sanjon and to make Sanjon feel worthless, and then to like give like the Studian card to like Sanjon might have been like the plan of like the person playing that game when he has basically showed up to like Sanjon's spring model. So like he might have never expected like the scenario between of like the between like him and Sanjon to like end up in such a manner to him for him to like get so affected and broken by like the words of Sanjon and feel worthless by the words of Sanjon. Like he might have never seen that coming at all. It's definitely my very embarrassing.